Welcome back, folks. It's Friday, September 5th, 2025. Born on this date in 1939, Claudette Colvin of Montgomery. She was arrested for refusing to give up her seat on a bus to a white person 9 months before Rosa Parks was arrested for the same thing. In 1963, former Major League pitcher and broadcaster Jeff Brantley, who was born in Florence and raised in Hoover. Today, we're going to welcome Ben Flanagan and Mark Heim back to the show. Now, you've heard them pick the all-time best baseball movies. Today, we're doing football movies. First, we'll talk about why the governor is suing the AHSAA and why the DOJ is investigating Rainsville. I'm Mike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. From improving emergency response times to protecting against cyber attacks, local, state, and federal governments are innovating with Google AI. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American Innovation.
After the Alabama legislature passed the state's current school choice law, an obvious question became, how will that affect sports? It appears that the courts may help decide that. AL.com's Rebecca Griesbach reports that Governor Kay Ivey is suing the Alabama High School Athletics Association over a rule that forces some athletes who take advantage of the CHOOSE Act to sit out a year before playing sports at their new school. The AHSAA's policy, which has been in place for years, is to prevent the recruiting of the athletes. There are 23,000 students that entered into the CHOOSE Act this year. Ivey said in a news release that the students' choice in schools should include their sports participation. State attorneys are asking the court to require the AHSAA to reverse its policy. Now, one of the issues here is over whether the CHOOSE Act vouchers amount to financial aid. The AHSAA policy at hand applies to students who transfer and receive financial aid. The U.S. Justice Department is investigating the city of Rainsville's denial of an application for a faith-based addiction recovery facility, reports AL.com's William Thornton. The DOJ said that this started when it received a complaint about the denial of a Christian recovery organization, claiming it was done to, quote, keep away drug addicts. At issue is whether the state violated the Americans with Disabilities Act, the Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act of 2000, and the Fair Housing Act. Well, it was 100 years ago tomorrow that the highest ever temperature in Alabama was recorded. In Centerville, Alabama, on September 6, 1925, the mercury rose to 112 degrees. Although there have been a couple 111 since, no town, city, or airport has matched that 112. Centerville is in Bibb County, half an hour or so southeast of Tuscaloosa. Hey, let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about our favorite football movies of all time, starting with a couple of listeners. Y'all stay with us.
Change is always happening, but no matter what changes in 5 years, there's one thing that will stay the same: the price of your internet. With the Xfinity 5-year price guarantee, you get 5 years of the most reliable Wi-Fi, with our best equipment included, for a price that stays exactly the same. Restrictions apply. New residential customers only. Taxes and fees extra and subject to change. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on OpenSignal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024.
Blindside is a great football movie. Phil Fulmer plays himself, and he's fat. Roll Tide Roll.
Raider. A Brandon Burlsworth true story, the inspiring story of faith, determination, and legacy, although it was cut short by a tragic accident just days before he was drafted into the NFL. This is one of the best, even though I really dislike Arkansas. You'll not find a better movie.
Hey, thanks for staying with us, everybody. Now, everybody has a favorite sports movie. And this week, with football season still in its infancy, we're going to talk football movies. We're going to do it like we did baseball movies back in March, if y'all remember that. I have two guests who are back by popular demand, and we're going to make a list of movies draft style with 3 rounds of 3 movies. So we get to a total of 9 on the board, if you got that. Let's welcome our guests back. They've both been on Down in Alabama numerous times. We'll start in order of how they're going to pick, but I'll introduce them first. You've read Mark Heim on AL.com. You've heard him on the opening kickoff morning sports radio show on WNSP 105.5 out of Mobile, as well as here from time to time. Howdy, Mark.
Hey, Ike, I'm glad to be back. It's going to be a lot of fun, and based on week 1, at least half of our listening audience is probably looking for some alternatives to watching football this season. So I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yeah, take me away, they say. Our other guest, Ben Flanagan, is a content director at AL.com. He hosts the Crimson Tide sports podcast, Beat Everyone, or at least through the end of this year, Beat Everyone except for Florida State. It's good to have you on, Ben.
Hey, thanks. Why didn't you introduce me as winner of the baseball draft from March? I don't understand. I wanted that as part of the list of accolades. And wait, why did we decide that Mark gets to go first? Who said that was okay?
I did.
Didn't agree to this.
I did because you went first last time. So you picked Major League, and that was everybody's first.
Look, Ike, already an Alabama fan living in the past. Look at it. What about last March, man?
It's about the banners, man. You got to look up at the banners. Celebrate them.
Well, Mark, you're fired up. Start us off with number 1.
All right, so the first one, this is actually very difficult because there's probably not a bad football movie out there, but I'm going to go with the obvious choice. It doesn't have great football scenes, but it's hard to ignore Remember the Titans, right? The 2000 film starring Denzel Washington, Virginia high school football team back in 71 over in Alexandria. They were forced to integrate. Like most Disney movies, that team was kind of a microcosm of the times, but it was a highly, highly quotable movie. Denzel and Will Patton were awesome. There were some, I think Wood Harris of Big Julius Campbell. They had a lot of folks in that movie that were young before they were breakout stars. Hayden Panettiere, Kate Bosworth, and a young Ryan Gosling who couldn't stop running water in the defensive backfield. But it was hard not to stand up and cheer for this movie, and it's one of everybody's favorites. It's hard to ignore. I got to go number 1, Remember the Titans.
That's a good pick, ain't it, Ben?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I think a lot of people would take it number 1 off of the board.
But
I wouldn't, Mark. I wouldn't, and so I feel good about the next pick. But no, I mean, I remember the Titans because it became. Maybe you had these too, like when the substitute teacher would wheel in the TV in high school. Remember the Titans became the go-to substitute teacher movie at Central High School in Tuscaloosa, at least when I was in attendance. And it was just one that was reliable. They knew that it was suitable for kids under the age of 18, I guess. And it was a great family sports film led by the one and only the great Denzel Washington at the top of his game. And I think the football sequences are awesome in that movie, but it's intense, got a great cast, and the soundtrack is super famous. So it's an awesome pick. It's an all-around pick.
So let me ask you this before we get to your pick, though. I meant to mention this. So in the state championship, they got to beat Ed Harris, right? Doesn't that dude look like Steve Spurrier back in the day?
Ed Harris?
No, not the actor. That was the wasn't that the coach? Ed Henry. It was Ed Henry.
Yeah, I was like, you're mixing radio with Remember the Titans right now. I think.
No, trust me, there's a very distinct difference between the two, and that's probably a whole nother different podcast.
I don't mean to spoil your next pick.
No, trust me. That ain't even in the others receiving votes. So, my bad. Ed Henry, they had to beat Ed Henry, but I thought the character that played Ed Henry favored Steve Spurrier a little bit.
Oh, interesting. I mean, now I know why you love it, right?
Yeah, well, or love to hate it. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead, make your pick there, sir.
Whose pick is it, Ike? Am I next?
It's yours, Ben. Go ahead.
Oh man, well, without further ado, then I'm going to take what I think is the best football movie ever. I was going to specify college football movie, but there aren't a lot of great college football movies, and I'll just be honest. Rudy from 1993
Oh,
is my number one pick. And as a lifetime Alabama fan, I'm really not supposed to like Rudy, right? And like say out loud that this is a great film, but to me, this is without question the best college football movie of all time. It's just the truth, and you got to be fair. Like the college football movie landscape is very thin. There aren't a lot of choices out there, but Rudy to me transcends even college football movies. It's the one and only champ there. To me, this is a movie that just like understands and appreciates football, tradition of Notre Dame, and what people obsess over about the game. The main character, played by Sean Astin here, he's playing Daniel Rudy Rudiger. I mean, he is just this driven, lovable character. It's the classic underdog story that is not only a good story, but it's able to blend the sport that its main character is so obsessed with and in love with, but it just has all of these great themes like family and religion and sport for that matter. And it's something that not only makes up our identities, but it creates some motivation and gives us life goals that, reflect way more than the actual game that you're trying to play. Rudy just makes me feel so good, and it has an amazing score by the great Jerry Goldsmith.
Yeah,
I mean,
it
this
really
is
does.
this is music that you'll never forget. So, I could go on and on about this movie, but Rudy to me is a masterpiece.
That was number two, my number two overall. So you're not that far out of bounds. Vince Vaughn, a young Vince Vaughn was
That's
in it, which
right.
was hilarious, and John Favreau was great. But that ending, that scene at the end, it was perfectly scored. You can't help but get goosebumps from the beginning of that montage all the way up until he gets on the field. It's and then talk about quotable. You're 5'0" you're 100 and you hung in with the best college team in the land for years. Was iconic. So yeah,
Charles
absolutely.
S. Dutton
Yeah.
playing that role. He's amazing. He should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actor, but I mean, it's from the great director David Onspaw, who also made Hoosiers. So he made two of the greatest sports movies of all time, but it's just beautifully filmed. To me, it's as close to what NFL Films looks like when it is filming football. To me, that's just like as aesthetically pleasing as it gets when it comes to somebody aiming a camera at sports. And Rudy to me is just, it's got everything.
Good call.
I think that whether you're in Alabama or anywhere else, there's no shame, no embarrassment. I think that's a great pick. It was my number one, and which means both in the baseball draft and in the football draft, Ben has taken my number one away. But they weren't exactly obscure number ones either. Rudy, really, of all the things in it, told me one thing. Really spoke one thing to me. I should have played.
Yeah.
Oh man, brutal.
Yeah, I should have played. I'd have got in by senior year.
You're getting Uncle Rico on us here, Ike, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's awesome though. I mean, nostalgia is one thing. My daughter loves this movie, and she watched it when she was like 3 years old. So it's obviously universal and spans generations.
Mhm.
Good storytelling is good storytelling, and Rudy makes you feel good. And the Alabama component of this, right? Like why Alabama fans swear this off is because there was this sort of like rivalry, I guess, between those programs. But my thought is in 2012 with that national championship, and then later when they beat them in the playoff, they got the Notre Dame thing off their back. It's no longer a thorn in their side. So we can all enjoy Rudy now.
Well, and I think the story, what makes that story complete is it would have been easy just to do the story about the football, right? But then it was the struggles with the academics and having to go across the way to take junior college courses, and how is he going to pay, and where is he going to live, and what's he going to eat, and then his family just. There's no way you're going to play. Like, give it up. Come work at the mill. Like, the whole thing. Like, it was just this whole thing. And so, like, his dad was like that moment when he steps out into the stadium for the first time, or they see him run out. I mean, you could just it just hits home. It just
the ending, the whole end sequence where the family comes to watch. John Favreau is cheering from the sideline or from the stands, and he finally gets in the game. It's just one of the all-time great movie crescendos. It's all the emotions just unleash, and it's a great feeling. Sorry,
yeah. No, that's fine. It does do that crescendo. You're thinking, okay, cheesy movie, cheesy ending, the same stuff, and they do it, yet it still knocks you out. It's just really well done. I'm going to do my number one now. If y'all don't mind, I'm going to do a departure And some people are going to say, why is this guy even in this draft? Because I'm not quite as football purist in the movie
Already
as
like it.
maybe
Already love
baseball. Thank you. The Longest Yard.
Oh,
Okay.
it's
the
not
original.
a departure. It's a classic.
Well, I felt like it was a little bit of a departure. I was giving myself too much outlaw credit with that.
No, I think it works. I think it's widely considered one of the great football movies of a generation, for sure.
Now wait, though. Let's be clear about this, because there are two Longest Yards, Ike. I assume that you're picking the 1974 version.
Oh no, the Adam Sandler. Now, of course, I'm picking the 1974 version. No knock on the Sandman, who did a labor of love and brought back Buddy.
It's pretty good. It's not bad.
Yeah. He brought back Buddy to start. Those of us who know Burt Reynolds call him Buddy, by the way. So I don't really know Burt Reynolds, but Burt was in it. It crosses into that Hicksploitation genre that I love so much, that brought us Smokey and the Bandit and the Dukes of Hazzard, even, and a lot of horror movies. Speaking of Dukes of Hazzard, Sonny Schroyer was in it as one of the big dumb guys playing football for the inmates. It was just wonderful. And, this is occurring to me now. I should have looked this up ahead of time, but I didn't realize it. I think we just lost Caretaker. I'll totally cut this out if we didn't. The man who played Caretaker, I believe, passed away recently. Anyway, I love the movie, and it was absolutely hilarious. I love the old South corruption type flicks, and that brought football into that.
So James Hampton played Caretaker in the 74 version of The Longest Yard, and you may recognize him as a character in Sling Blade, Billy Bob Thornton's movie from 1996, and he was also in Teen Wolf. For those of us who grew up with, he was Michael J. Fox's father in Teen Wolf.
That's right.
Sure.
Yeah, great. Look, it's a great film, man. It holds up to this day. And again, I'm joking a little bit, but the remake is kind of a fun movie and has a ton of fun Adam Sandler-y cameos and everything, and it pays respect to the original. But the original is a great film, and it works. It works until the game, all the lead up. And all the hype that, this feeling of prisoners finally getting to hit and play the guards, and the game delivers, man. It's just that's what football movies and that's what sports movies have to do. All the hype that they create with the sport that everybody is playing and the goals that they set forth for all the main characters, the game itself has to deliver, and there has to be authenticity. And that's what Burt Reynolds actually provided in that movie. And we all know that he played a little bit of football in his day, right? Went to Florida State. But the guy looked like a football player, and he looked like he could throw the ball. And that's more than you can say for a lot of actors who pretend to be athletes on screen.
Yeah, for a halfback also. He was a halfback at Florida State. He roomed with a quarterback for a while. I believe a quarterback, Lee Corso.
All right, so round one already done. What'd that take? 6-7 minutes? No, I'm teasing. So let's. So are we? We're not snaking. We're going back to me. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, let's go back to you. We're gonna do that.
All right, so I'm gonna take Ike's lead here and kind of go off the wall here with this next one. I'm going with Varsity Blues.
Ooh, good one.
Now, so Varsity Blues in Friday Night Lights. This is like Friday Night Lights, but on steroids, over the top ridiculousness. But I think it hits on a lot of great points, and it's a lot more entertaining. Friday Night Lights was serious. Love the movie. Love the story. Some great football. The pressures of it all. Varsity Blues does that, but throws the entertainment factor in. It's just one of those movies where you can turn on at any point, and you're just going to stay with it, right? It's the 1999 MTV Productions. The backup quarterback's going to lead the Texas high school team in search of their next district title. And you got, you got all the things that most football teams deal with, especially on the high school level. You got John Voight, who plays a perfect Bud Kilmer, the one that everybody hates, but everybody adores outside the program, because all he does is when they put the statue up, and you got the racial undertones because he won't give it to the running back in the red zone, and the Paul Walker is the big high profile Florida State quarterback who gets hurt, and then you find out his knee's all busted anyway because coach just don't care. Like Billy Bob cares too much. You got the partier and tweeter at wide receiver with Scott Conn. It's a great movie. It's funny. It hits all the highlights in football. It makes you want to stand up and cheer. And it's, again, highly quotable. It's the second time I've mentioned this, or third time. If you can quote a movie, it's a good movie in my book. And Billy Bob getting his cat scanned is great. And when they're at the adult entertainment and they're watching their teacher, and he's like, a 10, a perfect 10. Like, I mean, it's just, it's one laugh after another. But there's also that seriousness about, if that needle goes in his knee, I'm done. Find yourself another quarterback. And he goes through with it. And so there's this whole program just kicks this, god of a coach out of the locker room, and he never coaches again. It's great. Moxon's little brother is hilarious. Kyle, did you start a cult? That's so cute. It never stops. You got the overbearing helicopter dads who think that their kid's the best, and damn, them boys are having the time of their lives. It's all so stereotypical and over the top, but it's a great watch. Varsity Blues is my second pick.
It's like a perfect, you said Friday Night Lights, but it's like a perfect Friday night movie, right?
Yeah.
Out
sure.
at the theater, it checks every box. It's firing on all cylinders. It's just like the type of movie you love to go see with your friends. And yeah, John Voight to me is the one who sticks out here.
Sure.
He is fantastic in this
and Allie
movie.
Lauder, by the way.
Yeah. And Allie Lauder, Amy Smart for that matter. Mark, while we're at it. But
talk about recruiting tools. The bikini, whipped cream, the whipped cream bikini.
Easy, Mark.
I'm just saying, it had a little something for everybody back in the day.
But James Vanderbeek was obviously capitalizing.
I don't remember that
his
part.
Dawson's Creek fame at the time, right? Dawson's Creek fame, James Vanderbeek is huge. It's kind of will he take that next step, become a movie star? This was a great vehicle for him, and he's great. He sells it too. His Southern accent is a little wonky, I think. Maybe,
I don't want
that's
your
okay.
life.
That's right. But it's a fantastic cast, and it tells a great story. And again, does it deliver on the football? That's one of the most important boxes it has to check, and absolutely it does. My favorite sequence in this movie is after they've enjoyed a night of partying and drinking, these underage young men, they go and have to play a game the very next day. And you get this awesome sequence of them absolutely sucking on the field. And Thunderstruck by AC/DC is scoring it. And if I'm quite honest with you, I think I was 13 or 14 at the time when I saw it. I think that was the first time I'd ever heard the song Thunderstruck. And so that's just burned into my brain. Now you hear it every week at Bryant-Denny Stadium. But yeah, Varsity Blues is an awesome pick.
Yeah. And to third, the John Voight praise, what made him different from so many other coaches, Billy Bob Thornton and Friday Night Lights and some of the others? The other coaches were doing what they had to do to win. I think John Voight had just a touch of evil, and you could see it in his eye.
Yeah.
And you really don't see evil in too many coaches, but he definitely brought something from
Moxon, you're the dumbest smart kid I know. And then he told Billy Bob that he wasn't sure if he knew the difference between a sneeze and a wet fart. The quotes just keep coming out of that movie. It's perfect.
Well, this is also right around the same time he was in Anaconda, just a couple of years before that. And if you remember John Voight in Anaconda, totally out of his mind. Yeah. That guy's got range, man, to go from doing that, playing this crazed Paraguayan snake hunter, to a Texas football coach who loses his mind. What an actor.
Yeah.
Well, take us to your number 2.
All right,
Ben.
so I'm next here.
Yeah.
My number 2, I'm gonna go pro here. Okay. I'm gonna go pro, and I'm picking Any Given Sunday.
Yeah.
So Any Given Sunday from 1999 is a whacked out, crazed Oliver Stone movie, the best kind, right? But this is a bleak, cynical,
dark,
really entertaining, and edgy, and oftentimes really ugly film. It's as close to me as an all-out, just honest portrayal of professional football in a movie that we might get. And it had to take somebody like Oliver Stone to sort of pull back the curtain on this kind of win at all costs, cynical, money-driven industry that, it brings a lot of joy to a lot of people, as we know, but, it's also at the expense of those who participate in it, the players in a lot of ways. It's really silly at times. Like if you go back and listen to that ridiculous Al Pacino, it's a game of inches monologue in the locker room, but the movie is never boring. And it has this totally insane cast led by Al Pacino, Jamie Foxx, Dennis Quaid as the veteran quarterback, Cameron Diaz as the ruthless owner. But I mean, you could go down the list of like James Woods and Ann Margaret, and then you have real life football players like Lawrence Taylor and Jim Brown in it. Like, again, I could go on, but Any Given Sunday, it's one of those movies where it's like, is it a perfect movie? No. Does it make you feel good all the time? Not necessarily, but is it an honest look at like how professional football really operates? Yes, it is.
And you mentioned all those, like Charlton Heston was in it. He was the commissioner. Like it was wild. And Jamie Foxx, I mean, Stephen Willie Beeman, like we have these conversations on my radio show all the time about the best fictitious quarterback ever. And his name always pops up. But you're right, because it hits. And Lawrence Taylor and Jim Brown, they were like really good actors in it too. Yeah. I'm not sure how much they were acting, but they were like really good. It wasn't like these really bad cameos. It was long. It's very in your face. It's violent at times. Like you feel like you got a front row seat to a pro franchise. I think it's a great call.
Yeah. And one thing I don't really love about like sports movies sometimes is like what's supposed to be the NFL. Clearly they couldn't get the licensing and the participation of the actual league. And so it's just like fake NFL. Right. And so you've got like the whatever Sharks, the Miami Sharks or whatever. And then you have like all these fake teams. It's kind of interesting to see like where they go with it and like how creative they get. But like, man, you just look at it and you think like, whoa, what if this was the Dolphins? What if this was the Falcons or like the Cowboys or whatever? Yeah. You kind of have to use your imagination, but I really love that movie a lot. Like, again, it's ugly and it's not exactly pleasant. But to me, that's real football, and good for Oliver Stone, a guy that you wouldn't necessarily expect to make a great NFL movie. He did it.
Yeah, I think the whole not using real NFL teams, in a way, added to how surreal the movie was because it was so over the top. Another thing that did was what I thought was miscast was Pacino as the coach, and not after I saw it, before I saw it. It worked with that over the top, real dark kind of, you almost needed a Pacino doing the Pacino thing to get any attention in them. If he would have been this, milquetoast coach, he wouldn't have gotten far. So yeah, good pick. And also, by the way, you're going to think I'm making this up at this point, but that was my next one because of,
I'm sorry, Ike. It's just I don't make the rules here. I didn't pick the order.
That's right. You didn't. No, it's all on me. I do believe I was going harder actually on Pacino, and I know that's a weird kind of thing, but I think I just enjoy watching him go off in anything. Well, let me give you my number 2 pick. I'm checking so many off here. All right, this one is a little more probably cheesy and mainstream feeling. Now that we've done Any Given Sunday, I'm wanting a little more oomph. But where I was in coming to college football in the early 90s, I guess it was, late 80s, early 90s, the program.
Oh, yes. That was my next one. You stole my pick.
Whoa.
I'm glad turnabout is fair play. So, although it's you, but maybe you can give it back to Ben. The program was great. It was a lot of stereotyping, I guess, of players at certain positions and that sort of not just racial stereotype, but I mean, the hip quarterback and the guy on defense trying to save his family and the new running back who was a hot shot, but it was great. It kind of set in stone a lot of what we would learn about college football going forward. And I think every college fan of a major college program at one point said, I think they made that about our team. Is that how you?
Yeah, I've said for years that movie is as relative or relatable now as it ever been. Like it holds a test of time. Maybe not so much now that we're in the NIL, maybe in the last couple of years, But a lot of the things, like, so there was a steroid issue with Latimer, the guy who couldn't get to the big table at the beginning of the movie, right? The defensive lineman. Alvin Mack was the middle linebacker that couldn't read, but all he had to do was sign his name to an NFL contract, he would say, right? And then he gets hurt, so he had to deal with that, and his career's over. You have Kane, the quarterback. He's got a drinking issue because he's got stress. He's got the mom issue, or the mom and dad issues. He's trying to do the whole Heisman thing. They come up with that ridiculous slogan, Kane is able, right? And so, and what's great about that is James Caan was just unbelievable as the coach, because he had to deal with the boosters, and they needed wins, and they needed a bowl victory, which sounds so ridiculous now in today's college football, but he had to take the keys away from the quarterback, and he knew Latimer was doing drugs, and he looked the other way, and he had to go to bat for his backup when his starting quarterback got suspended because of the drinking, and his daughter took the test for him, remember? And he had to go to bat for the backup quarterback, but he didn't go to bat for his daughter, who got kicked out because he needed the quarterback to play. And he goes in front of the board, and the academics, and he's like, all that is true, but when was the last time 50,000 people showed up to see a kid do a damn chemistry experiment? Like, all that stuff is still relatable today. It is one of my favorite. And then Christy Swanson was in it as the love interest, the athletic, but she kind of represented all those sports that do just as much work, but don't get all the perks that football gets, right? Which is still a very common theme. So I thought it's a great pick. Omar Epps was great as Darnell Jefferson. Halle Berry was in that movie. Again, she's recruiting, and the whole, it's so relatable, Ben.
Well, Mark, I mean, you point out Ali Larter and Halle Berry and Christy Swanson there, since a theme there. I mean, they know how to cast these movies, especially during the 1990s. But this
clearly
movie
I'm a kid of the 90s.
Well, yes, for sure. So this movie was directed by David S. Ward, who also directed Major League. So the guy obviously knows sports. But Ike, I love this pick because, I mean, as we transition from Any Given Sunday, you go straight to the college version of it, in the sense that it's a cynical look at modern college athletics, right? To me, this is the football version of Blue Chips, an underrated movie about college basketball that, again, pulled back the curtain on how it actually works to some degree. Obviously, things are played for dramatic effect, but this is actually a business, and in some ways a corporation, and it's all about money, and it's all about getting to that next level and using the college and using amateur athletics as this vessel to get you there. And this is Eastern State University, the Timberwolves, right? Again, one of those fictional college football teams, but to me, that the aesthetically, that looks like Florida State, because Florida State was so synonymous with early to mid 90s football success. But I mean, this movie is about pressure. It's about substance abuse. It's about improper recruiting tactics, all sorts of stuff. It's about a legendary coach past his prime, this weary Heisman candidate, like you just mentioned there, Mark. The freshman superstar running back. I mean, it's really got it all, but it was also the perfect contrast to Rudy, which came out the same year, right? Yeah. It's just a really solid option or antidote to sort of the saccharine aspect and things that we love about the nostalgic film like Rudy. And, to me, it's one of the best and most unheralded movies in the college football movie or just football movie conversation. It was not a box office success. Critics didn't love it, but a lot of former players and college football fans who happen to see it, they insist that it belongs in the discussion for the best of the genre, and from somebody who knows the game certainly a lot better than we do, our old pal and ESPN analyst, Cole Kubelik, he was on the For the Water Cooler podcast not long ago, and they were talking about this movie, and he said, quote, "There is no debate. There's no better football movie." When talking about the program.
Something to that point, 2 points actually. So I love the fact that, Darnell Jefferson fumbled the ball in practice, and James Caan goes to him and he says, "Are you hurt or are you injured?" And because there was a difference. And then he said, "That was a hell of a run." Now imagine how good it would have been if you had to hang on to the ball. So then he made him hang on to the ball, and everybody else on the roster had to go knock it out during the course of the school day, right? So they're all trying to get him in the lecture halls, which I think probably hit home with a lot of former players. The other thing, Ben, and I don't know if you know this, but there was a scene in that movie that came out when it came out in theaters that was later cut because people were replicating it. There's a scene where the quarterback is trying to blow off some steam. So he lays down in the middle of the street. Do you remember
Mhm.
that scene? It later got cut
Yep.
because
It
I
was in
think
the trailer.
yeah. And it later got cut, which is probably the first time I ever saw something like that happen. So it certainly hit it hit some nerves with some folks for sure.
I think it was a concern because there were like it had been in the trailer and there had maybe been like copycat incidents where
Yeah.
kids were like lying in the middle of the road. And yeah, it's like the ultimate rush. You feel like there was a lot of content in like the 90s where people were trying to find the ultimate rush. You have to have the absolute edge when you're playing at a high level like we are with college football. But Craig Sheffer, man, you talk about the 90s, man. Where did Craig Sheffer end up? I mean, it's an awesome cast. I mean, to me, the real standout of the cast is Dwayne Davis as Alvin
Yes.
Mack that you
Yeah.
mentioned. One of the best lines in the entire movie. And we'll ignore the gruesome injury that his character succumbs to. But when asked about his assignment during a film session,
Yeah.
he's just laser focused and he says, hit the tight end so hard his girlfriend dies.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, I don't know that I could ever reach that level of intensity.
You know,
That's why I didn't play football.
Yeah, so I'll counter that. So one of the funniest lines was when he was being tutored in the library, and he could care less, man. He had no interest. And the guy was like, Alvin, you need to know this stuff. And he's like, who won the Peloponnesian War? No, who was in the Peloponnesian War? Who fought in the Peloponnesian War? And he goes, I don't know, Detroit and Buffalo. Like it was so random, but it goes to show you how laser focused and how smart the guy was. But because he was carried throughout his academic career, which goes back to a lot of the things that always kind of hit home with people, like he just kind of walked through the classes and they would get him by, right? The program would see you through.
Yep.
No, it was a great film. All right, I think we're gonna go ahead and keep moving. It looks like you and me, Ben. All right, so I'm gonna go a little different. So I will say my top 4 picks are already off the board. So I think we're all in a good spot. I'm gonna go a little different this time. It wasn't by design, but I went with Remember the Titans and Varsity Blues, 2 high school movies. You guys have gotten the college and the pro. I'm going Little Giants here.
Oh, I love Little Giants.
And I'll tell you why, because mostly everybody can relate in some form or fashion to this movie, right? It's a football movie, but it's also, right, as a parent, as a player that was just one of the best, as a player that never got to play and didn't make the team. Like, I think everybody can relate to this. And Rick Moranis and Ed O'Neill played their roles perfectly. We talk about all the guys that played these great iconic coaches. Ed O'Neill as Kevin O'Shea was awesome. Like, he was so over the top with the coaching shorts and the Ray-Bans, like, and the whistle, and he's doing 40 times with these, 8-year-olds, and the heavier set kid was like, Coach, what's my time? He's like, I don't know, son. I don't have a sundial. Like, it just had a little bit of everything, right? And there had this sibling rivalry, and Kevin O'Shea gets Spike, the new kid that comes into town, and he's a monster, right? We've all played against that kid in Little League or whatever who looked like he was 14 when you were playing an 8-year-olds. You know, and Spike, Spike, don't play with girls, you berserko Barbie doll. And like, so then Rick Moranis' girl, the Icebox, was clearly the best player, but was frowned upon because she was a girl. She was a tomboy. It was an underdog story, and it really tugs at the heartstrings. It's got a great ending. It's one of those movies that everybody can watch. The football ain't bad either. The annexation of Puerto Rico lives in infamy to this day. But you had the kid that couldn't catch, and he finally caught one, and the dad with the 30-pound camera on his shoulder video, and he got it all. And like, again, we've all been that kid. We've all been that. A lot of us have been that parent. You just get it. It's a great family film. And again, highly quotable. Love it.
I think it's a great pick. I owned this movie on VHS when I was much younger, and I would rewatch it a lot. Becky, the Icebox O'Shea, right? I mean, Rick Moranis, who was just such a hero, I think, to a lot of people, from like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and a lot of his other 80s and 90s movies. And Ed O'Neill, if you watch Married with Children, it was just cool to see him in another movie. I mentioned Blue Chips already. Ed O'Neill's sleeper sports movie actor. But I think it's great. And, it has some really funny lines. So a pretty sharp script, especially for a kid's sports movie. I mean, there are a lot of these kids sports movies in the mid 90s that were kind of brilliant when it came to just like transcending the formula a little bit. I think about a baseball movie that we had talked about in our baseball discussion, like Little Big League, which knew the game, right? And it knew how to like it respected the game, and it respected its characters. It even has a John Madden cameo that's really good. But you mentioned Spike. It has my favorite line from the movie is Spike saying, "When you mess with Spike, you mess with death." And I quote that to this day. And I agree, man. It's in Devin Sawa as junior, the quarterback, right? Like, and also like recruiting practices too, like where they get Spike on the Giants at first and on a technicality. And it's just it's a
people probably deal with that in park ball all the time to this day. One of my favorite lines is the bickering between the two brothers, right? So they go out for the coin toss and he gets caught on the mic, and he's like, "Why does he get to call it?" And he's like, and Ed O'Neill's like, "Danny, what difference does it make? I get the ball, I ram it down your throat. We kick to you, I take the ball from you, I ran it down your throat." Like it was fun banter. It wasn't way too serious, but again, it was a lot of that's one of the great football movies.
I love it. Little Giants. One funny little detail that I remember is when I was watching it. Remember, we were younger, and so like our vocabulary was developing. But either my brother or my cousin, there's a part where Kevin O'Shea pulls up in his car. Do you remember what his license plate says, Mark?
Heisman, right?
It says Heisman. Yeah. And somebody sitting next to me goes, "What does 'he is man' mean?" Somebody said, "No, it's Heisman, you idiot."
Yeah.
So that's where we learned the word Heisman was from Little Giants, as a matter of fact. So great pick. So it's my turn here. It's my last pick, and I'm going to keep it light here because I feel like there are probably people screaming at the speaker right now, and I'm going to go with The Water Boy, the Adam Sandler comedy from 1998. And again, is it the most serious like look? Again, another curtain, like pulling back the curtain on the sport of football, and does it transcend the sports genre in terms of like the drama that it creates, and does it make you feel as good as Rudy and the Blind Side or any of these other movies? No, not really. It just makes you laugh a whole lot, and it helps when the football is authentic enough, and it helps that football can be funny too. And Adam Sandler is clearly a diehard sports fan who loves the game, and you see that in Happy Gilmore with golf. You see it in the movie that he just made where he plays a basketball coach. It's escaping me what the name of that movie was on Netflix, but he's a guy who loves sports, and I was glad that he got to work in a football movie even before he made it to The Longest Yard in 2005. But Bobby Boucher is a great character, and again, kind of like Rudy, just an underdog and a likable person that you want to root for, and you hope good things happen to him. And when they start happening, it's something that does make you feel good. And along the way, is there sophomoric humor and potty humor like we're accustomed to with Adam Sandler's films? Absolutely. But as somebody who grew up on him on SNL and then loved Billy Madison and Happy Gilmore and a lot of his early movies, I was along for the ride, man. And it's gotten a lot better too for me later. I've watched it recently because my daughter is a big fan of the movie and frequently asks to watch it. So I've been reintroduced to The Water Boy, and you've got Brent Musburger and Dan Fouts cameos. They're calling the action, the Louisiana whatever Mud Dogs. I forget the name of the school now off the top of my head, but what an awesome cameo, and there are a handful of others. But The Water Boy, always a good time. I love watching some foosball movies, Mark.
Yeah, so apparently we were so good at this that I just bowed out. He couldn't handle the pressure. So those are some really good picks. I want to run a couple by you real quick though.
Okay.
Because I really had a hard time picking like three favorites because football movies, I don't know, they just hit different with me. You mentioned The Blind Side, which was an awesome movie, but Invincible with Mark Wahlberg I thought was really good.
Very good.
We mentioned Friday Night Lights. All the Right Moves with Tom Cruise was a great high school movie back in the 80s with Craig.
Do you buy Tom Cruise as a defensive back though? Did he pull it off?
Back then he pulled it off. He couldn't pull it off, ever since they started highlighting his running in movies. What's that?
How was his back pedal?
He had good form, but that was back in the day where you had the pad on the neck. You know how like football players had that extra. But Craig T. Nelson was really good as that hard-ass coach, and Leah Thompson was in that. It was a good cat. Chris Penn was in that. And
Chris Penn.
But here's one for you that go way back. Do you remember? This is low-key. If you guys haven't seen any of these but want to check one out, go back and watch The Best of Times with with
Kurt
Robin
Russell?
Williams and Kurt Russell. It is absolutely hilarious. It's about these guys that are now in their, probably our age now, Ben, and Kurt Russell was Reno Hightower, the greatest quarterback of a generation, right? And they had a big game for a championship. He threw it to Robin Williams. He was wide open. He just dropped the ball. So he became known as the man who drops the ball. And it was fantastic humor. So they decided we're going to replay this game and show everybody like it was a whole redemption story. And you can imagine how funny Robin Williams is in that. Reno doesn't want to play because look, he's had his day. He doesn't want to ruin that. It's really bad and grainy 80s film, but Robin Williams is hilarious because he lines up against Dr. Death in the rematch, and it's a fan. I would highly recommend that. In addition to Wildcats with Goldie Hawn,
Good one.
The Express. We didn't mention the Ernie Davis story, and a really bad but cheesy one, Ben. Johnny Be Good with Anthony Michael Hall and Robert Downey Jr. That was over the top. But yeah, those are all things I considered, Ben.
Yeah, I wondered where you were going with it, and when you were like, we're going way back here. I didn't know if you were going to talk about like Dorf Plays Football or something, but look, I mean, we've got Ike back with us too, and Ike, like we lost you for your third pick, and we went through our his was Little Giants, and mine was The Water Boy. So we need Ike Morgan's third pick here.
Ooh, I like the Water Boy would not have been mine, but that's another good one, Ben. I don't know. We're in sync on this. Where were we?
You're on your third pick.
I believe I had Friday Night Lights.
There you go.
The one I had left. So we've talked about that already. Obviously, it loosely led to the series, but Billy Bob Thornton is the coach, and another dark one, man. We're liking the dark football movies. We really went hard with comedy with baseball, but we've explored drama a little bit here, I think.
Friday Night Lights just has this air of melancholy throughout the whole thing, right? Like especially in the movie, based on the H.G. Bissinger book, obviously, and it's about this town, Dillon, Texas, small close-knit community in a rural area where football is king, right? And we all know that that's real, and that's very true. If you've ever driven through Texas, you can see from the road how important football is. It's not a stereotype; it's real life. But I mean, it's a movie about family values. It's a movie about racism and drug use and all sorts of these like real thematic issues that ultimately translated, I thought, like really well on the show Friday Night Lights. It's one of the greatest shows of all time. If you haven't watched that, I envy you because it's fantastic. But the movie though is really cool, and it's like very well made. It's made by Peter Berg, the filmmaker, and like you said, Billy Bob Thornton really well cast as a head coach. But you've got Alabama native Lucas Black playing quarterback. Right. You've got Derek Luke playing Boobie Wilson, I think was his Wilson was his last name.
Boobie Miles, yeah, Boobie Miles.
Boobie Miles, thank you. Just fantastic emotional performance, and like you said, Ike, it's on the darker side. It's even darker than the TV show because that would have to air, on NBC later and reach a wide audience. But the movie deserves a lot of credit for like really again shining a light on the darker aspects of high school football and how it impacts young people. So highly recommend it. It's a good pick.
Interesting. Derek Luke, who played Boobie Miles, also was in Glory Road, right? So he kind of did the multiple sports movies there. But another one who I thought was really good in that one, guys, was Tim McGraw, right? Yeah. He plays the drunk dad, and he's like a mean drunk, and like his kid is never good enough, and it's state or nothing. And so we talked about all those moments where you just kind of get choked up. At the end of that movie, when they come up just a yard short, and he goes up to his son, he takes the state ring off his finger and puts it on his son's hand and kind of gives him a big hug. I mean, that kind of gets you right there. You're like he finally got his dad's approval. Of course, he dislocated his shoulder and had to put it back in place so he could go run the ball. But I mean, if that doesn't get a dad's respect, I'm not sure what will. But it was a great movie, and I thought Billy Bob had to deal with the boosters. Hey, really need that win tonight, coach. Hate to see what would happen if we didn't. Like right there with his wife at the grocery store. I'm like, dang, these guys are serious. So it's a good pick. I debated between that one and Varsity Blues. I went with the more comical, but I think they hit very similar issues, but in a very different way.
Yeah, you talk about Tim McGraw playing a dark character. I have read that Faith Hill, McGraw's wife, while screening that movie, playfully punched him in the theater because he was such a jerk on the
Yeah.
screen. I love the last scene. I think it's the last scene where they're like in the at least one of the players are in the parking lot of the stadium the next morning, and it kind of gives you that whole sense of high school being over. Like, we have poured so much into this. We have just so many emotions have been spent here, and now it's just gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you hope that you've gone down in history or glory somewhere, but because it's time to move on and for a new crew to come in. So, yeah, that got me at the end. But hey guys, I really appreciate it. Yeah, I heard y'all were doing some of your other picks that just fell off. Uh, in the same vein that during baseball we talked about the Pride of the Yankees, which was the Lou Gehrig story, being just sort of a seminal movie in the genre. I wanted to make sure somebody mentioned Newt Rockne All American. I mean, I think that was sort of gave us the stereotypes. They were like, well, yeah, but those are our cliches. You say a movie's cliche, but when you're one of the first, then you get credit for that. So I'll throw that one out there as well.
Hey, it was a lot of fun. Thank y'all for playing, but I enjoyed winning. So
That's what you think, man. What's our final tally here, Mark? What are your three?
I have Remember the Titans, Varsity Blues, and Little Giants.
Good ones. I had Rudy, Any Given Sunday, and The Water Boy. And Ike, your final three were what?
I had The Longest Yard, The Program, and Friday Night Lights.
I think we crushed it, man. I mean, we'll let the people speak and decide, but I know who won.
Sure.
And, yeah.
And you don't have to say it. Don't say it, because, we don't want to make Ike feel bad, and I appreciate the fact that you accept defeat, but Ike was so scared and it was going so bad for Ike, he left for like a half an hour.
Right. I totally just bailed on y'all. I'm in an Arby's parking lot right now, trying to catch up on this. But thanks for bearing with the technical difficulties. Thank y'all for coming on again and doing this. It was a lot of fun, and I hope folks out there enjoyed it. Enjoyed it very much. Well, see y'all next time. Y'all come on the show again sometime.
Anytime, man. Thanks. It was fun.
Of course.
Okay. And thanks everybody out there for listening to us. We're going to be back here bright and early in the morning. Until then, come by and see us anytime you can on the internet at al.com.